Hello, fellas. Happy weekend and happy new month as we enter the month of February 2026. And I want to do a quick weekly analysis as we approach the new week. Today is Sunday, 1st of February. So, before we dive right into it, I want to talk about the markets a bit. We're seeing huge declines across the board. Just like we've been having all-time highs across the board, we seem to be leaning towards a huge sell-off. We've seen gold sell off on Friday, as well as silver. We've also seen Bitcoin fall all the way down to $78,000. And so it's quite evident that when we open up on Monday, we are going to be gapping down on NASDAQ. That being said, last week it started off quite positively, and price was on its way to all-time high. It missed it by just this little. We saw all-time highs on S&P 500 reaching $7,000 for the first time in history. So, looking at this weekly chart right now, what I can see is that we are now stuck in this range that we've been stuck in since December of 2025. The market has not picked a direction yet. It's still the beginning of the year. There's a lot of financial news going on, a lot of uncertainties in the markets, geopolitical tensions. So I wouldn't expect us to start having those peak moves in January, which was why I was quite skeptical about gold breaking all-time highs multiple times. In my opinion, I think gold is going to tank even more next week. And I think all these other assets are going to follow suit, including NASDAQ. But at this moment, it's too early for me to make that decision because right now what I'm seeing is that we are stuck in a range. So what's the game plan? The game plan going into next week is to trade strictly with liquidity, higher time frame liquidity. There are no imbalances on this chart. The only thing you can capitalize on is taking advantage of the ranges that are being created. For instance, look at this. This is 1 week chart, yeah? And what we can see here is that after this is created, let's ignore this. After this was created, the next candle first swept the low of the previous week. After having a bearish week, it started up here, dumped, and closed here, sweeping this liquidity. Now after this, the next level of liquidity to target is this and this, because this has been taken care of. And following fundamentals, you are looking for bullish momentum. So what happens on the next week? We see price come to take out both the previous week's high and the week before that. After that, what happens? The next week sweeps this high and comes all the way down here. Didn't sweep this liquidity, came up here and closed. What now happened? The next week delivered price to those liquidities that were stacked up here. So what does this tell us now for this candle? Going by the logic of this last 4 candles, because we've seen price sweep this high, I'm expecting that before we go further, the next week would either sweep this low or sweep both lows before we push higher. So what this means is that going next week, I will be focused on just ranges, not selling, not buying, no bias at this moment, because this is clearly a consolidation market. So what I'm going to do next week is focus on previous day's highs, previous day's lows, session highs, session lows, previous week's highs, previous week's lows. I'll use this to frame my trade, knowing that price could show momentum, but it probably wouldn't deliver to those huge, ticks. Don't anticipate for excessive number of pips, like 300 pips and all that. Focus on 50 pips, 70 pips, because this is a tightly ranging market. So that's my plan going into next week. We've been on this weekly chart, but let me go to the daily charts. Kind of see the same story. No imbalances to play with. The only thing you can basically play with is the highs and the lows, and waiting for any of them to be swept. That is our business next week. So I will be doing a lot of waiting. I wouldn't be in a hurry to trade on Monday. It's just so that I can get a Monday liquidity that price could maybe sweep and give us a run to the other opposing liquidity. So on the daily charts, no imbalances. Only thing we can do at this point is maybe anticipate a Fibonacci retracement and see how price behaves from this other block here. So I'll just look for my first trade on Monday inside this POI, but judging by everything I've shown you so far, and by the fundamentals in the market, if this market is going to dump, then it is going to sweep liquidity. So on a lower time frame, on the 4 hours, I'm seeing some cluster of orders and volume profile confirming that this zone seems to be strong support that has been formed. So what I'm going to do is, regardless of the higher time frame buyers, I'll wait to see how Monday prints. So if Monday holds this support and we close with a bullish candle, then I am bullish for next week, and I'll look for opportunities for buys on Tuesday. But if we break further down, then I will stick to the original analysis of waiting for a higher time frame liquidity sweep before looking for a position. So I'm not going to go further down the rabbit hole of going to other time frames, but this 4 hours practically shows us the story, and we need to wait for Monday to form before we make any other decision or take any trade, because this market is currently on a higher time frame looking like a consolidation. But consolidations can be traded. You just have to know where you're picking your spots and have your confirmations. And yeah, so be patient and wait for Monday to print. Hope you're having a lovely day, a lovely Sunday. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you during the week with weekly and daily analysis. Bye.